Okay, there is still some people joining. Okay, yeah. Good night, everyone from Indonesia. Good morning for Dona and LeAndra. So, thank you for coming. Thank you for Dona and LeAndra to spend time to teach us about no code development. And I also really appreciate all the attendance to join us today because it is night in Indonesia, but you still excited to join us today to learn more about no code workshops. We really excited and we really appreciate you guys. And today we have two amazing speakers, Dona Sarkar from Microsoft and LeAndra from the Phone Business Solution. She's the Microsoft certified trainer, and I'm very excited to learn more about no code development because I believe that in the future there is a lot of application built on top of no code solution, including from Microsoft Power Platform. So yeah, so let's get started with the event. So we're going to Dona and LeAndra. We'll have a couple of rules. So I'm gonna share the rules here. So the first one is the event will be recorded. So if you guys don't want your face to be recorded, I advise you to disable your camera. And the second one is now you can go open your smartphone and visit menti.com and then type in the code 717891. And then in here, you can ask a question to Dona and LeAndra about anything you learned in this event. Okay. So yeah. So the third one is please mute yourself while speaker is presenting so that everyone get the best experience possible at this event. And yeah. The last one is don't leave until the end because we have announcement and because we have two amazing speakers. And yeah, that's it. Okay, so to check, try to open menti.com now in your in your smartphone and then type in the code here. And then there you can type your question and also ask your question as well. And then you can upvote every other question asked by other people. Okay, so that's it. The first presentation will be coming from Dona, and the second one will be coming from LeAndra. So without further ado, let's get started. I'm gonna hand over the screen to Dona Sarkar. Yeah, please, Dona. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I know it's late your time and on a Friday night, and what do us nerds have to do other than to hang out and learn about low-code development? So thank you very much for giving up your evening to join us. I have some interesting things to share with you that I think will help you in your career, whether you're in technology now or you'd like to be in technology in the future. So I'm going to share the screen, and we're going to walk through a quick presentation, and then I would like to show you a demo. Let me see, am I doing this right? Yeah. Google Meet's still new for me, so I'm figuring it out. Okay, can you see that? Yeah, I'm gonna assume yes, unless someone yells. Oh, perfect.
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay, so I would love to know how many of you have heard of Microsoft's Power Platform. And if you haven't, that's absolutely okay, because up until about 8 months ago, I hadn't heard of it either. I have been at Microsoft for 15 years, and I've been a developer on the Windows team the entire time. So I am, in fact, the opposite of a low-code developer. I'm a high-code developer. I've only written code in C++ forever. So I use binary assembly C++. I am a nerd's nerd. But 6 months ago, something very interesting happened. I'd love for everyone to meet Shamal. Shamal is my dad, my father, and my best friend. He has worked at Ford Motor Company in Detroit, Michigan, which is an automotive hub in the US. He's worked there for 30 years. And he did not have a tech job. His job is very much around manufacturing and the plant floor. So his job was to inspect the cars as they came off of the assembly line. And once he said, yep, these are good, they would go into the showroom so people could buy them. Last June, about a year ago, Ford did a big restructuring in their company, and they laid off, so let go of about 10,000 employees. And the people they let go of were all non-technical. So these were people who had manual jobs like my father. They kept the technical people because they want to have those engineers working on autonomous vehicles, so self-driving cars. And Ford believed that if you don't have technical skills, you don't have a role at this company. So this was a heartbreaking and very difficult period for my family because my dad is actually quite young and he was not ready yet to retire. And he's overall spent the last 6 months building up his tech skills. The second story is about Yeshua Russell. Yeshua is the CEO of a solar power company in Abuja, Nigeria, in Africa, called, so the company's name is Group Power. And what this company does is they go and find very important businesses that cannot lose power. Nigeria is a place where power outages happen quite often. And places that are like hospitals are really, really bad if they lose power because ventilators stop working and lights go out and people die, people lose their lives. So Yeshua had had a personal experience when he was young and he set out to build this solar power company. When I was in Nigeria a few years ago, I taught Yeshua how to use a HoloLens. So this is the mixed reality device from Microsoft. And it allows you to see holograms that you create in the real world. Here I am showing him how to take one of his solar panels, turn it into a 3D object, and put it on the roof of just this room here, so he could see how it looks and fits. Yeshua loved this device, but he pointed out something very interesting to me. He's told me that I can never use this device because I am not a software developer. He said, I'm a business person. I don't have time to go study computer science, to learn coding and do all these things that you do, Donna, because I'm not a software engineer. I also don't have the resources to hire a software engineer. So to me, using a device like this is impossible. So both of these events were an eye-opening moment for me because I've always believed that everyone in the world should learn coding. I'm that person who thinks that we should have computer science in every classroom. You should be coding when you're 5 years old. You should be coding when you're 95 years old. I believe everyone in the world should learn coding. But after going through Yeshua's story and my father's story, I realized that this is just not practical and it's not going to happen. Instead, we need to focus on the fact that coding achieves something. Coding allows people the freedom to be able to build and make anything they want to solve their own business problems. So at Microsoft, we've launched this concept called Power Platform. And the goal of Power Platform is to empower citizen developers. So these are people who may not be software developers by profession, but they have become software developers by chance to solve specific business problems. And we truly believe that everyone on the planet has a chance to become a citizen developer because you don't need to study computer science to do this. So we decided that we need to start with our community a global movement. And the name of that movement is Less Code, More Power. Because with less code, you can have more power. So the set of tools we're using for our global movement is called the Microsoft Power Platform. And some of you may know about this, and it might be new for some of you, so I'll go through it quickly. There are really 4 components to Power Platform. First one is business analytics. So this is where you can look at your sales data, your customers' data, trends over time. So all the kind of reports and dashboards that business owners need to understand where their business is doing well or not doing well. Second one is Power Apps, which is low-code app dev. Third is Power Automate, which is low-code process automation. And the third one is Power Virtual Agents, which is chatbots. So Power Platform is built on Azure, which some of you may heard of also. So Azure is our big cloud service, and Power Platform stems directly from a bunch of functionality in Azure that extrapolates away. It removes some of the complexities around using Azure and just gives you exactly the information you need to build without having to worry about how it works in the cloud. So the first thing I'd like to talk about is Power Apps, which is the low-code approach to building apps. This is a very, very easy way to build web and mobile apps. So whether it's on your iOS or Android device, with using low-code or no-code. So it lets you use something like PowerPoint Designer, which some of you may have used, along with Excel functions to create Power Apps that you can build in like 5 minutes and have them run across your devices for yourself as well as your team. This is a very secure way to build apps because they work within your own organizations. So there is no chance of data leak or your customers' information leaking, because the only people who can install these apps are the ones who have your own organization's email address. So a random person from the street can't download this app. These are not apps that work in the App Store or the Google Play Store. So some of the coolest things that I find about Power Apps is AI Builder. So you're able to get a bunch of AI functionality for free without having to become a machine learning expert or a data scientist. So imagine for a business owner, and I'm sure all of you in Indonesia see this, I've spent a lot of time in Jakarta, and one of the most interesting things to me is how everyone prints your receipt. So I'm a fashion designer, so I buy a lot of fabric and textiles. And I was at my Estic market buying 150 meters of textiles, and every place that I went printed me a paper receipt. And I know as a business owner, I need to keep these receipts, but I didn't feel like carrying these receipts around. So I used my Power App to scan the receipt, and my app was able to pull out the store's name as well as the amount they charged me. So, 200,000 rupiah, it would just track them, and then I would stash everything into an Excel spreadsheet. So I was able to do this just with a Power App and AI Builder without having to write any code. The second thing that I really like about Power Apps is Power Apps Portals. Power Apps Portals are the low-code website that you can build for internally your company or externally that your customers can see. But again, it's low-code, so you don't actually have to use HTML and CSS, but you can if you want to. A cool new thing, and this is in public preview now, so not out in the world for everybody in the world, you kind of have to turn on optional features, is mixed reality in Power Apps. This, of course, brings together my passion for HoloLens and mixed reality with Power Apps into a place where you can build your own 3D objects, and then you can see them in your phone placed into the real world. So this is great for retail, manufacturing, construction, measuring stuff, etc. But it's something that if you've not played with, I highly recommend you try it. Next one is Power Automate. This is intelligent automation. So imagine that you've got a bunch of manual labor tasks in your company and they're incredibly annoying, and you'd like to automate this. Here's a use case that I just did recently. I have a list of about 200 customers who've placed orders for a certain kind of sweatshirt. And these sweatshirts are running late because international shipping is like terrible right now, and customs and COVID and all this. So I needed to send email to 200 people. And I could go to Outlook and write their email address, write the message, send, write the email address, message, send. And it would take me probably like 3 hours to send these. But instead, what I did was I automated the process. I created an Excel sheet. I put all of the email addresses in there, which is how they were anyway. And I crafted the one message, and I wrote a Power Automate script just using this builder. Without any code, I'd said, use the Outlook connector, use these email addresses from this cell in Excel, and here's the message. And I hit enter, and this message went out to all 200 customers. It took me maybe 10 minutes to do. So there's a ton of existing connectors. So there's Outlook, there's Teams, there's connectors to pretty much anything you can think of. So you can automate business processes across the board. It is super cool. Try it out, and it'll open your mind to so many things you can automate. And suddenly you've got a lot more time. So a new thing in Power Automate is robotic process automation, RPA. This is really good for legacy apps. I know places in Asia and places in Africa and Latin America have a lot of legacy apps that were created before APIs. So this is really good for when you can't automate something easily using APIs, but you can through the UI. So this is useful for if you want to say, whenever a customer order comes in, create a new record in our database. So you could automate this process and say new record, fill in customer data from here, save, record the steps, and then play them back. So they play without you having to babysit and keep an eye on what's going on. Third thing is Power Virtual Agents. This is low-code chatbots. I love this. This is probably my favorite thing, where you can engage your customers or engage people in your company through this chatbot that is automatically generated. You don't have to learn the bot framework. And these chatbots are very, very useful because you create them in whatever language you want. So you go to, this is a demo I'll show you, you'll go to the chatbot builder, name your bot, choose your language, and it'll automatically generate a bot for you with like 5 or 10 things that are just default, like saying hello to the customer, saying goodbye to the customer, escalating to you. But there's so many things you can do with this bot. You can have the bot call you on your phone. You can have the bot send an email. You can have the bot redirect to somewhere else. And I have built a bot for my own business to answer customer questions. I like these bots because you can embed them anywhere. You can have them run within the Power App you built. You can have them on a website. You can have them on your company's website. You can have it run on its own on a bot site. There's so many places you can embed your bot. And you can monitor your bot over time and see which questions are being asked that your bot is not answering and which questions are doing incredibly well. So I find that analytics of the bot to be super useful. Of course, all of this can be used with the low-code backend called the Common Data Service. The Common Data Service is a relational database that is extremely secure and is very easy to use. So you don't need to be a SQL expert to use this. I am migrating currently all my customer data from Excel and SharePoint to Common Data Service because I need the relationalness of this data store. So say a customer, like person X orders 5 things. Right now I have a separate record for each one, which is stupid because it's the same customer. So what I want to say is say one customer, here are 5 entities for all of the things they've ordered. So I've talked a lot about retail and manufacturing scenarios because that's what the business that I work in on the side, but this works across the board. Every company has a timesheet entry app, like your employees fill in their timesheet and hours they've worked. This is Power Apps is ideal for this because every company has to do it. You don't need to build like a .NET app to do this. So it's probably the most common tutorial I teach is expense reports and timesheets. So there are so many apps that companies have built using Power Platform just to keep their businesses running. There is a huge customer base out there. I think as of right now, 97% of the Fortune 500 use Power Platform in some way or the other. There are many companies in Indonesia who use it. I have gone to visit a lot of universities and companies, and it's been amazing to see how Power Platform is used by HR departments, finance, operations, legal, not just by computer science departments. So who is building Power Apps in companies anyway? Some of them are devs, right? So they're people with computer science degrees who work in IT or dev teams. But most of the time, they are citizen devs. They're people who happen to work in HR, legal, finance, operations. They run into a business problem. Then they build an app to solve their issue. And then they work with IT to deploy it across the company. It is really, really cool to see people who have zero tech background, people who come from doing manual labor jobs like my dad, to people who are teachers and lawyers and accountants and all these things, use Power Apps and Power Platform to solve their own business problems. So if you're just getting started, I highly recommend you pick something small. So don't pick something humongous. For my business, the main thing I tracked at the beginning was customer orders. So before it would be that a customer would order something from me, I would write it down on a sheet of paper, I'd talk to my tailors, we'd get it made. Now I track everything in a Power App. So I could create new entries in the Power App. I can see all of the customer orders that are still open, and my tailors have the same app, so we're all looking at the same set of information. I highly recommend you form your own group of people to learn with and share. And it looks like you've got a pretty strong community in Indonesia, and I really recommend that you get together and do demos and say, here's the thing that I built. What about you, et cetera, et cetera. It helps to inspire and motivate each other and be able to feel like, we are one community of people. I did a big dev event in Indonesia last June 2019, and we had 150 people show up in person, and about 50% of them were college students. So that was wonderful to see, and I think that's exactly the groups of people who could be passionate and enthusiastic about this. So there are a lot of ways you can learn about Power Apps. If you really are quite committed to learning together, this App in a Day workshop is pretty useful. There's a bunch of them online, or you can host your own. That first link, App in a Day, aka.ms App in a Day, gives you all the stuff you need to go through this agenda over here by yourself. So we have all this product, all these tools, all this learning stuff, but the big superpower is the community. So this is a small snapshot of the community. You see, there aren't that many Indonesians or South Asians here. And I think that is a failure. I think we need to have way more South Asians, way more Asians participating in the Power Platform community globally, worldwide, because there are 300 million people who live in Indonesia. That's a lot of people. And that's a lot of opportunity to do a lot of stuff, especially with all of the businesses there. There's so many banks, so much retail, just so many businesses who could benefit from something like Power Platform. So I'd like to tell you the story of Foyen. Foyen is a SharePoint developer at Sterling Bank in Lagos, Nigeria. And she was tasked with building a Power App, with actually solving a business problem. The business problem was when there's a bank branch, and what they would do is they would transfer money from the vault where all the money is, to an ATM. And they would write down the amount on a sheet of paper or an Excel spreadsheet. And she thought this was silly, so she built a Power App for the bank, and it got deployed to everyone's phones and tablets. And when someone would move money from an ATM, from a vault to an ATM, they would record the amount, hit submit, and it would get put into a SharePoint list. So then at the end of the week, whoever is in charge of tracking how much money moved from vaults to ATMs could just generate a report. They didn't have to collate these 176 Excel spreadsheets into one. And because of this, Foyen realized the power of Power Platform. So she started the Citizen Devs Academy within her bank. You can see that she's now teaching HR, legal, finance. She's graduated 100 people in her bank through this academy, and most of them come from a non-tech background. They have zero computer science. They've done no tech in their lives. She then went on to start a Power Platform user group in Nigeria. It started off as just 2 people. When I went to visit them, they'd already grown to about 150 people. This is in November. Is this in November? Yep, it's November 30th. I went to visit them last year. So she started the group in October. By November, there were 150 people. By February, there were 250 people. Now there are over 1,000 people. So there's a huge hunger to learn, but all it takes is one person. So if you don't see this where you live, create it, because I guarantee there's people who are looking to learn where you are. And because of all of this work, Foyen has become an MVP as of last month. So she has upskilled herself, upskilled her company, upskilled her country, and now we'd like her help in upskilling the world. But it's not just people and companies. There's students. There's quite a few students from Asia very interested in this area. This is Rita Okonoko, and she is an amazing person who lives in Nigeria as well. I spend a lot of time in Nigeria, so I happen to know Nigerians, but I also spend a ton of time in Indonesia. So Rita learned about, she's a Java developer. She builds Android apps, and she thought this was such a cool thing that she learned, that she could build Android apps without actually having to write a bunch of code. So she's been teaching this to her fellow students all over Nigeria, and now it's gone virtual. So she only learned about this in April, and now she's built like a ton of apps, done 100 days of coding, just super inspirational young woman. So I'm telling you this story because tech has enabled all of my lives. I am a software engineer at Microsoft, but I'm also a published author and I'm a speaker. I do a lot of speaking. And most recently, I have started a fashion line. And that fashion line is called Prima Donna, because I'm Donna. And a ton of my tailoring and fabric sourcing is done overseas. So I have a bunch of tailoring and manufacturing going on in Detroit, where I'm from. where my parents live, but I also have a ton of it in Africa, and I have a ton of it in Asia. When I was in Jakarta last August, I'd taken myself on a trip for my birthday. I had a chance to meet a ton of tailors and a ton of fabric makers, and I brought home a whole bunch of fabric to work on my line. But as I was organizing all my fabric and organizing all my materials, I realized I just don't have time to work at Microsoft full-time and run this business full-time. So I use Power Platform as my CTO. So Power Platform tracks my customer data, my sales data. People, when they place an order, get an automated email. All of this happens because of Power Platform. So people believe that I run like a 100-person company. And in fact, it's me, Power Platform, and a few others who actually help me with manual labor. So our mission at Microsoft, of course, is to empower every person and organization on the planet. And that includes people like you, people like your communities. And because of this, I'd like to assign you 2 pieces of homework, okay? First of all, we've got a dev conference next week on July 15th. It's at kind of a weird time for you. It's evening for you. And then, it continues on in the morning. But I'd love for you to register and attend. I'd like to get more attendance from Africa, from Asia, from South America. Right now, the attendance is heavily in the US and Western Europe. So let's go get attendance from other places. So that's the URL, aka.ms, Powerful DevsCon. And please do go register, because I will be hosting and emceeing this thing. This is the first time I've ever organized a conference. So I'm very excited about it. So I'll be hosting it, and I will do a call out to Indonesia. So I would love to see so many of you there. And then there's actual homework for you, which is get started with Power Platform. If you've never started before, I have no idea what I'm talking about, go to aka.ms, power up, and do the tutorial. I will show you exactly what the tutorial is, but go and do the tutorial. The second part is you can use Power Academy. Power Academy is the Citizen Devs Academy that Foyan built for her bank, and it's been tried and tested many times, and people found it very useful. And third, once you do these things and you're starting on your journey, I would love to hear your stories. I would like to have more Indonesian stories in these slides. So if you are interested in being a victim of my storytelling, please do send me your story. Okay, so that is that. Now I have got about 15 minutes, and I would like to show you a quick demo. Can everyone see this?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So step 1, you go to make.powerapps.com. Okay. So once you go to make.powerapps.com, you're going to come to this page here, because everything's, you're going to be able to preview all these things. So go to make. My internet is very slow today, so things are going to seem like it takes very long. It won't take this long for you. So make.powerapps.com, you're here. You can see that there's a bunch of things you can do. You can build an app, you can build a flow, which is a Power Automate, you can build a chatbot, you can do stuff with AI Builder. First, let's go ahead and start with some data and make a Power App, okay? So I've already got a data source set up. So the data source, this is customer feedback for my fashion line. Here's the name of the dress, the SKU, the textile that I'm using, the price, the images. So the images I've put in Azure Blob Storage. So if you click on each one, it'll take you to my Blob Storage page with the picture. Here's the customer name, the badass score, meaning how much of a badass does a customer feel like when they wear my clothes. A compliment score, meaning how many compliments did they get. And the feedback from the customer, where I collected that feedback. Was it a rental company or a shop I use, or is it in person? And then our notes from within my business. So this is my data store. You can see it's in Excel. It's very straightforward. Prima Donna Financials and Feedback is the name, and the table's name is called Feedback. Okay, so let's do this now. We're going to start with the other data sources, and we will, do this. This will be slightly slow, so we will wait. I'll close some of these windows. What we're going to do is take that data store, that Excel, and then generate a Power App from it, so you can see how straightforward it is. and how easy it is for you to do it too. And then you'll feel like doing it if you haven't. So I'm just going to use my personal OneDrive where I keep everything. See, most people prep nice tech demos with test environments. I don't. You're just going to watch me do my work because, you know, I'm not kidding. I have no time to run a full-time business and work at Microsoft, so I have to do them both at the same time. So here's that Excel spreadsheet, financials feedback, here's customer feedback, connect. So let's let the magic happen here. Now I'll drink my coffee while we wait. Just getting things ready, and then things are happening. This is what you're seeing as the backend AI at work, just figuring out what that spreadsheet looks like and how it should be broken into a 3-screen app. Okay, there's our app now. So here is how the app will automatically look on your phone. You can see this is pretty ugly and I hate it. So here's how it will look on your phone. So imagine you deploy this to your phone. Customer feedback, okay. Let's drill in here. And you can see that this layout is like not that good, but it's got all the data. It's got the picture, the feedback, the customer name, the scores. All right, cool. So I have some work to do, obviously. So let's make this app look kind of good. Let's actually let's start with the main screen, and we'll say, okay, I don't like this white and blue thing. It looks like a very corporate thing. So I'm going to, this view here you use to actually navigate. So you click on and say like, whether you're looking at the screen over here, the whole screen, or you're looking at the gallery, which is what these pictures are. And I'd like to change the theme. So up here, you see this theme thing in the ribbon. You can apply a theme so you can make this look nice. I, of course, like dark mode, so I use this. These office themes are very corporate, so I don't use them. But I like this pink and black one here, so let's try it. See, that's looking better, right? This looks like an app for a fashion line now versus a corporate app. But I don't like this layout. So I'm going to go to this gallery again. And let's mess with the layout. So right now the layout is like this, and I don't like this very much. So let's come down here to gallery. And then you see there's like this gallery view with kind of overlays. And since this looks way better, right? This is way, way better to show actual fashion. The pictures are better, but these numbers don't mean anything. So I'm going to change the fields, right? These are all fields. So I'm going to change the fields we look at. And the image is right, like that seems good. Subtitle 2, okay, let's figure out subtitle 1. Title 1 here, I think that should be the customer's name. That's probably a more useful thing to do here. So customer's name. And second, I think I'd just like to see the feedback they gave. So let's choose feedback. That looks good. So let's see how it looks on a phone. And that's pretty cool, right? So my tailors will be able to understand. They'll be able to say, what are all the latest customer feedback coming in? And let's drill down and see each one. So let's click on this one. Like, okay, this format makes no sense still. So you can also create new ones here. So create a new one and save it. Or edit. You can edit that one. But I would want to change this page. So let's see what we want to do with this. Let's go to the detail screen. And in the detail screen, I want to, yeah, I think I want to change all these fields. I want to change the layout, change the fields. And then there's like, I can mess with this all day, and we can be here like, you know, change around the form, I can edit the fields. And I think just changing the order of the fields would be good. So let's move up image to here. And then, yeah, that always starts to look better. I don't like this vertical thing, so let's change it to horizontal. Yeah, this is starting to look way better. So let's move the customer name up. And then her feedback is more interesting. And then it gives you the scores, badass score, compliment score, etc. So that's pretty good. So once I do this, I would save it, of course, and just save it. Donna customer feedback. And then save. Save. I don't want to save like that. Hang on, move this. So, one second. Like, oh no, I didn't do this. I'm like in settings. So let's just save it here. Prima Donna customer feedback. Save to Power Apps. Cool. All right. So what are the different ways that my team can actually see this? We can, of course, deploy this onto our phones. But there's a new thing, and I wanted to show you this. So we use Teams. So here are a bunch of Teams I'm in. Some of these are for work. Some of these are not for work. Let me just, and I've got a Prima Donna Teams. So in this Teams here, and I've got the people that I work with within this Teams. I can, here, you can see my sales dashboard here. This is a Power BI that I've created into a report, and I've just pinned it up here. Come on, sales dashboard. Come on, sales dashboard. There it is. So this is the sell price by silhouette and what we've sold the most of. So you can see that a certain dress style called the Keynote, we've sold a lot of compared to like this one. So we may have to figure out how we can make this one better, or, you know, not sell it at all. So remember that Power App we just made? We can have that Power App live within Teams itself. So let me show you this. You can add Power Apps here. And you can say, yep, I want to have a Power App live within here. This I thought was kind of cool. You can create an app from here itself. You don't need to go to make.powerapps.com, etc. You can make an app that works very well within Teams by creating, or you can just, remember this one we just made? You can just pin the existing one that we create somewhere else so everyone can look at it. It'll take a second. And there you go. So there's the app we made. So now everyone on my team can see the same app, and they can, you know, get the full phone experience just here. Okay, so that is Power Apps and Teams. The next thing I want to show you is Power Virtual Agents. So exactly where you are, click Chatbots, okay? And you can create your own chatbot here. And I've generated this already because it does take like 15 minutes. And you can just try this yourself. It's completely free to try out. Go and build your own bot, choose your own language. So I'm going to do something interesting. As you noticed, you know, I've got my business here, Prima Donna Studios, and I've got this questions tab. And questions are my frequently asked questions. And I would like for my chatbot to automatically know the FAQs, my frequently asked questions. So I've got my chatbot. I would like to add some topics to it. It's already got these topics. When are you closed? Are there stores, etc. These are things that are automatically generated, so you don't have to do this work yourself. If you'd like to add an FAQ, you just come here to suggested and then put in the URL here, and you just click start. So now a little bit of magic's going to happen, and this chatbot is going to inherit all of the FAQ questions. So we will wait a second. There seems to be a lot of waiting around in this. Yeah, this may take a few minutes. All right, while we're waiting for that, I will show you, oops, did not mean to do that. I will show you a cool AI builder trick. So wait, go back here. So while, oh, we ran into a problem. Okay, I think my internet is too slow to do this today. That's okay. So let's just go back to meetup.com. I want to show you AI Builder in the last 5 minutes we have, because I just thought this was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. And I want everyone to be able to do machine learning without having to become a data scientist first. Definitely try out that chatbot thing though. Your internet will be not as slow as mine. Okay, so go to AI Builder and you say build. Build. You know, next time I'm going to go to the Microsoft office and present these things because, my God, my home internet is so slow. Okay, build. Come on. Come on. There you go. There's a bunch of pre-built stuff. You can build your own models, or you can automatically get a business card reader, automatically do this stuff. I recommend you play with this and try some things. I'm going to show you object detection. So object detection detects objects in an image. So I would like to detect flowers in fabric. Everyone tells me, oh, I hate florals. I'm like, do you really, or do you not understand florals? So I'm going to create a model to do this. And then it will take its own sweet time, but I'll just call it florals and I'll show you how straightforward it is that you can try it too. The main thing you need are a bunch of images. So I have 15 images of fabric with florals on them because I take pictures of fabric all the time. So that one I've got, you know, kind of hanging out. So common objects, that's what we want to choose. Next, what is the common object? We want to detect florals. Add new object, flowers. Next, it will ask for training data. So we'll say add images. So it'll want 15 images, and I'm just going to put them from my local storage. So here we go. Here's all the fabric that I've used, that I've taken pictures of recently. And we'll add them all. So I have 28 images. I just need 15. So I'll show you how to tag a few. I'm not going to make you watch me tag 15 images. Come on. Come on. I guess I shouldn't have chosen 28, but it's okay. Okay. So once you do this, just click next. And let's tag some. So we have to tag that object we identified. So let's find something that has florals. This one does. So now we just draw a box around the flowers. Okay, so this is a flower. Draw a box around it. And then, is that a flower? Yep. Yes, it is. Here's a flower. Draw a box around it. And we would now do this for all of these objects. And you need to tag 15 of them. You must tag 15 images to train this model. So once you tag 15 across all of these pictures, you will have a model that gets trained automatically. So I didn't want to make you watch me do this. So I pre-made a model and trained it earlier. And I'll show it to you. It's right back, and just go to make.powerapps.com. Everything you need is in one place. So I did exactly what I showed you right there. Okay, so here in AI Builder, in models, I have exactly 1 minute to show it to you and test it. Okay. Here we go. Here we go. All right, so flowers and fabric, you can see that, oh, this was the one we opted out of. So these are exactly the same thing. We're going to just click on the model. You can see that it's been trained. It'll say trained over here. And we can do a quick test. So let's do a test. So let's drop an image of a fabric that has flowers and see how the object detection works. Let's choose this one. Now you can see this has got some fabric, so let's just hang out. So it's able to detect 91% convinced this is a flower, this is a flower, this is a flower. So if I wanted to, I could use this on a website, and that way you could I could say whether people really hate flowers or they think they do. So I could ask people on a website, do you like this fabric? Yes, no. Do you like this? Yes, no. And if people, turns out they like flowers, then I don't need to stop making floral clothing. So that is what I had for you. I've gone over a little bit, but thank you so much for being very patient while my internet was horrible.
Yeah, thank you, Dona. That's very awesome presentation. And we're gonna take a look to the Q&A. I'm gonna share my screen. I think
Perfect.
there is couple of questions already. I'm gonna share my questions here. Yeah, so there is a couple of questions. At least there's 5. And the first
Perfect.
one is, yeah, you can answer already.
Oh, cool. What are the limitations of Power App in building an app? I would say the main limitation is that you can't share externally. So you can't share to the Apple, the App Store or the Google Play Store. These are internal to your business apps. But other than that, I haven't found any limitations personally, and I'm very picky. So you can connect to whatever data store you've got, whether that's Oracle, SAP, Azure, whatever data store you store your information in, you can connect to it using all the connectors. You can also pull from a bunch of external things, like you can pull from Twitter, pull from Facebook, pull from all kinds of things. So actual limitations, none. Sharing limitations, yep, because it's by design due to security.
Cool.
Is Power Automate similar to IFTTT? Power Automate is similar, but it's specifically for businesses. So IFTTT is useful for if I'm a person who does this for my life. Power Automate works very well for if you're at a company. So it can connect to your company's data, and everyone in your company can share that same automation you build. Like say LeAndra and I are at a company and I build an automation to track, customer orders. She can copy and modify the same automation for her business problems.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I want to deploy it for small, medium business, how much does it cost? Okay, so it completely depends on how many people are in your business, right? So it is $10 per user if you want unlimited. So if you've got an O365 dev account, then it's part of that. So licensing and money is like, it totally depends on your business. For my business, it doesn't cost us anything because we use Office 365 dev accounts, and I've used that to build my own, tenant, and we get all of this for free. If you want to get all of the capabilities and you've got a company of 100,000 people and you want unlimited, you want everyone in the company to be able to build apps, you want everyone in the company to be able to use apps, that's $40 for each person. But if you want a specific set of people to be able to build apps and anyone to be able to see them, that's $10 per person to actually build.
Okay.
The Power Apps look heavy to load. Is there a specific spec to run it smoothly? It actually works pretty well when your internet is not horrible. It doesn't take so long to load in general. Once you deploy it to something like here, it's quick. You just click and it opens, or in Teams. What you're seeing is watching me build it over slow internet. So if you've got slow internet, building it will take a little bit. But if once you actually finish building it, it's actually pretty quick to use it.
I see. Okay, last one.
Can we use other data sources for fetching the data? Yes. So you can use whatever data source you want. I have yet to find a data source that doesn't work. So I use mostly the data sources I use are Excel, SharePoint, and CDS. A lot of people use Azure, and a lot of people use just a different third-party one. So a very common one is SAP. Another one is Oracle. Some people use Salesforce. So it just depends on whatever data source you've got. The goal is you don't need to move your data source to use Power Apps. You should leave your data where it is if you're happy with your data source, and you just use the various connectors to build your Power App on whatever you're used to.
Awesome. So we run out of questions, but
Perfect.
everyone, if you have any question, you can open your mic and then ask directly to Dona, because we have 10 minutes left. Feel free. Or you can speak in bahasa. Jadi bisa ngomong di bahasa aja, ntar kita bisa bantu translate. And we will translate the question.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anyone have a question?
And if you don't, that's fine. You know how to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, I'm gonna give about 1 minute. If not, we can continue to LeAndra. Ya, jadi teman-teman bisa tanya langsung aja ke Dona kalau ada pertanyaan. Kita masih punya waktu untuk question kalau misal ada pertanyaan. Seems everyone is shy or a bit tired because it is like Friday night.
So
yeah.
Please,
well,
let's give the stage to LeAndra so we can all get out of here.
Right. Okay. I have a follow-up question actually about the pricing. So you mentioned that the pricing depends on the creator, not the viewer. Is that correct?
That's right. It depends on how many people create. So when I create a Power App, it doesn't matter how many people use it. So I have maybe 15 tailors who are all guests in my tenant, and I'm not charged per them using the app. It's just charging for how many people make the app, how many makers you have.
Okay, that's awesome. Yeah, I think let's conclude our Q&A discussion. So let's check out LeAndra presentation. So LeAndra, I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, and now the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Awesome. I would like to first acknowledge the time difference as well and let you know that I truly appreciate you joining me tonight for you. It's early in the morning for Donna and I, so we are a little bit more peppy, if you will. But again, my name is LeAndra Jordan, and today I am here to speak to you about my journey to creating a no-code, low-code Power App. First, a little bit about myself, and then I'll keep it moving in the interest of time. It's just to let you know that I am a Microsoft certified trainer. I am also a Microsoft customer immersion facilitator. I support Microsoft and Microsoft partners in their effort to onboard their customers with a variety of Microsoft products. I'm also the founder of Drayvon Business Solutions. And if you would like to find me outside of this session or connect with me, you can most certainly send me an email. And just as Donna has mentioned, you can find me on social media, both LinkedIn as well as Twitter as LeAndra Jordan. So let's go ahead and talk about this challenge. As I mentioned, I am a facilitator and a trainer, and I also assist customers with their end user adoption change management process, pretty much helping them get their employees excited about using certain products. But today I am coming to you, or tonight I'm coming to you as Donna mentioned it, a citizen Power App developer. And the reason why I fall in that category is because I'm actually a business user. I'm considered to be a business user, end user of the product, of the actual Power App. I have absolutely no experience with coding prior to taking the challenge. And to let you know how I actually got to this challenge, I am an advocate in my local community to empowering the young people, and as Donna mentioned earlier, encouraging them to step into the realm of coding altogether. So annually, I participate in the Hour of Code sessions that last about a week, and I go to different schools in my local community to help them code in an hour. So I'm there for support and to encourage them. So I'm not a know-it-all, but I'm most certainly a learn-it-all. And so I'm always up for the challenge to learn something new, because I know, being the type of person that I am, when I learn something new, I am able to pass it on or pay it forward, if you will, and empower others to do great things beyond their greatest imagination. So I took the challenge. But here's the deal. I took that challenge and I had to complete this challenge in just 3 days. That's right. I had to create my first Power App in 1 day. My accountability partner was like, nope, you only have 3 days to do it. You said that it was no code. You said that it was low code. Let's get it done. So what I have here is I just wanted to show you my process with this 3-day journey. I broke it down into 3 high-level tasks. Day 1, I set out to actually take a look at the tutorial that Donna mentioned earlier, and I'm actually going to show it to you. And I went through that tutorial several times. By day 2, I made the decision to actually take my end result from the tutorial and reverse engineer what I had created, the sample app. And then on day 3, I said, okay, this is it. This is the time. This is the time for me to create and personalize my own app. And so as part of my demo, I am going to, and this is where great minds think alike, because I am going to take the same approach as Donna and show you the process and the app that I eventually created. So if you would just give me one moment, I'm going to end my slideshow here and show you my day 1 process. So here's the tutorial that Donna mentioned to help you get started and learn how to create your first low-code Power App. This particular tutorial, and I turned the volume off, but you should be able to see the video. I'll make it a little bit larger to show you the end result of this particular tutorial. So this is a gallery of carpet, and the business scenario is that this particular company have individuals that are out doing estimates, working with customers, and they want to be able to have this app on their mobile device so they can share those estimates on the spot with their customers. And so in this particular tutorial, it shows you the end result first, which is what you're looking at here. And it goes a step further to show you the details of the apps. So when you click on one of the flooring options, it shows you the details for that particular flooring option. And it also shows you. And so I watched this video. So I wanted my journey was to take me to how can I create my own app. And so I kept looking at this tutorial and thinking, hey, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? What type of problem can I solve? So here, I'll take you to my day 2 journey. And so for Microsoft Office, as Donna has mentioned, I actually have a Microsoft Office M365 subscription. It is a developer subscription as well. And so I am able to access my Power Apps from here, or I could have typed the make.powerapps.com directly into the browser. But either way, it takes us to the same place. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the movie or seen the movie Finding Nemo. According to Dora, it's just keep swimming, not just keep spinning. But many of us are working from home in remote situations, and so the internet is a little bit slow. But look, I see it's cranking up here. So it takes us to this landing page, and I have options. I have the option to create my, dive right in and start to create my app based on my data set. I also have the option to start from a blank canvas. And I want to make sure I point out here that you do not have to reinvent the wheel, because there are some powerful templates available to you from the Power Apps homepage that you can select and reverse engineer and create your own app as well. But I have a data source, and I would like to show you my data source because I too created a Microsoft Excel worksheet, and I named it Flower Power. And so just to let you know, the app that I'm creating is pretty much going to give us details about national flowers. I like flowers. I actually am a floral person. So I was excited about this particular project. And I wanted to use an app to inform or educate others on national flowers for a variety of countries. So here's my Excel spreadsheet. And I have mine organized in columns. And the first thing I learned, because I like to tell you what I learned along the way, the first thing I learned is that your worksheet has to have what a friend of mine calls good data hygiene. That means that our Excel data range has to be converted into a table, which is what you see here. I had to make sure that it includes headers within the columns, which are, I have the name, the country, the nickname for the flower, images, just as Donna had in her tutorial, and description as well. The other thing that I learned along the way, trial and error, is that you cannot include formulas within the worksheet. Now, does that mean you can't calculate? Oh, no, that's not what that means. It just simply means that the calculations will be placed within your app design environment instead of the Excel spreadsheet. So we're just looking for static text. Everything is nice and plain and clearly labeled. The other important thing that I've learned, and this one is very, very important, because I reverse engineered the app, the flooring app, I noticed there was an additional column that I did not create, and it's called the Power App ID column. This particular field. This is automatically generated by Power App when you create it. So it's important that you leave it intact, you do not touch it, because this is the identifier that helps you connect to your app in the end. So when you refresh it, it knows exactly which fields it's refreshing. So very important, don't touch that one. And again, I learned that with the hard way. So now that we have our worksheet, also learned that it's important that once we have it set up that we close the worksheet. I kept trying to work with it and it kept getting an error, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? And then I realized, oh, I have the file open, so I can't work with it in another environment. So I closed the worksheet. Stepping back into Power Apps, I am going to show you exactly how I created my first app. So because we're working with Excel, I'm going to go ahead and select Excel Online, starting from a data source. There's my acknowledgement that I'm creating. It's in the process of creating my Power App. And I also see faintly in the background that it's asking exactly where my data is housed. My data is housed in OneDrive, which is OneDrive for Business in the cloud, which is what you see here. There's an acknowledgement of my account name. Now, Pradeep is my persona. So I'm not LeAndra at the moment. I am Pradeep. So I'm connected to Pradeep's OneDrive for Business, which is where the Flower Power worksheet is held. And so we'll step through this, select that particular worksheet. And now you see why it was important for me to define a table in the worksheet. I named that table Flowers. And finally, I connect. And just as Donna showed you earlier, the power of the cloud is working in the background, churning, 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 so it can produce the best app it can based on the data set that I've presented or connected to. So as it's loading, you can see in the background, it's loading for us. It's getting the work done. checking my handiwork. I don't mind. I'm confident in that worksheet. Now, as the apps are generating, or the app is generating, you'll see that apps that are generated from data have the same set of screens that you can view from the screen pane. And the screen pane is popping up over here on the left-hand side. So I'm going to collapse it just to point it out. 1, 2, 3. I selected to create an app from data, but more specifically, I decided to create a mobile app. And so in this particular selection, you see 3 areas or 3 screens. The very first one is the browse screen. And these are things that I discovered along the way. I'm going to expand that so you can see exactly what it's connected to in the app design view that you see here. So when I select the browse screen, you'll see that it highlights the gallery here to allow me to make edits, much like Donna did with her app. And I'll collapse that again and show you the second screen. I'm all about keeping my real estate clean, so we can focus on one thing at a time here. So here are the detail screens. This is the screen for the details of my flower. And I'll show you exactly how that works in just a moment. And then finally, the last section is the edit screen, because in this particular app, we have the option to edit the data within the details. So let's preview the app. Bearing in mind these 3 sections, I'm going to go ahead and play the app or preview my app. That's what it looks like. I'm going to close this window here. And let me close it. And this is what I do, because I'm all about the starting place. Let's start from the very beginning. I'm going to start from the first section, and then I'll play the app for you. There it is. This is the home screen. I'm able to refresh the data within the app. I can change the sort order from ascending to descending. This plus sign allows me to add to my data, as well as the search box, and the name of the app is the name of the table. I'm satisfied with that, so I'm going to leave it there. Now let's take a look at the information that's presented. So here are the list of flowers, in addition to the countries in which those are the national flowers. So we have France, and their national flower is an iris. Now, what you see here is a preview of the details. Irises are perennial plants growing, and when I step into that, you'll see a full description of the iris. There's the indicator for the country, the description, the image, the name of the flower, and if there is a nickname. Now, I do not have a nickname for the iris, but I do have a nickname, and I'll take a step back here in my app, for the lotus flower, which is the India's national flower. And that nickname is Kamal, K-A-M-A-L. If I wanted to update, I just simply hit the pencil up there in the upper right-hand corner, and then it makes the fields that you see here editable. So I'm able to make changes here. I could remove it, and I'll do it just for the sake of the demo. Go ahead and remove that and acknowledge it to submit. Going. And you see there, it has removed it. Let's take a step back, and it takes us to the home screen. So this is the app that I created. This was my end result here. I'm going to close it because I'm going to point out a few other things that I discovered along the way. Starting with that very first screen, the browse screen. I'm going to open this up. Select the gallery, because although I appreciate the preview of the detail, I want to keep my home screen as clean as possible. So I'm going to try to tackle this. I'm going to attempt to replace the description with the name of the flower instead. So I'm going to select it. Specifically, notice that it's changing over here in the navigation pane, and the preview of the detail is actually marked as a subtitle. Now, Donna showed you how to toggle over here on the right-hand side. I'm going to kick it up a notch just a little, only because I feel comfortable with working with formulas in Excel. I like the fact that I can apply it here in Power Apps. And let's see, we're going to change that from the preview of the description to the actual name. The actual name of the flower. And then you see it there. The preview is gone. Preview is gone. Now, I don't want the name in here twice. I would prefer to see the nickname. So I'm going to go here and replace the word name with the name, and it has to be the exact name of your field. I'll accept it here. It says nickname. Click away, and yes, it's blank because it didn't have a nickname for Argentina's national flower. But as you can see here, I do have a nickname for Japan, which is the chrysanthemum. The nickname is Mom. And for the South African flower, the nickname would be a King Protea. So I was kind of proud of myself. It's like, oh, able to apply what I know in using with one Microsoft product to another Microsoft product. I'll also go a step further and change this blue color in the header over here. I'm going to go up here, and this time I will use the search box. I'm over here in the navigation pane. I mean, I was really working that thing, and I discovered that this is called a rectangle quick action bar. So I did a search for REC, and immediately I have search results. You'll see it here. This is quick action because that's where all of the actions for my app are found. And now that I have it selected properly, I'm going to go over here on the right-hand side and use the fill color bucket, and I'm going to adopt the color purple. Now, what I do on my home screen, because I'm looking for consistency, I want to make sure I do it in the other screens as well. So I'll move over here to the detail screen. You see it there. Use my paint bucket, change that color. I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing for the edit screen. And voila, I was able to update the color scheme for my, my application. So let's preview it. I'm all about previewing your work. I'm going to close, delete what I have here in the search field, start with the browse gallery, the browse screen, shall I say. Hit play. Let's take a look at it. Yes, that looks a little bit better because if I want to see the details, I'll step into it and I get to read the details from here. Now, just as we were able to edit within the application, the app itself, I also have the option to delete. Just want to make sure that I point that out for you. So I'm going to take a step back. And I'm going to hit the plus sign to actually add something. Now, I wasn't quite sure. I wrestled with this one. I thought that Canada's national flower was maple flower. I know it's on the flag, and so I went with it. I named it Maple. I do not have an image at this time. Well, I think I do. So let me go ahead, because remember when we started out, we started with my data sheet, my spreadsheet, Excel spreadsheet, and I had links to images much like Donna did. So I did the work on the front end. But because we're adding something within the app itself, which is a good thing, we want to be able to be productive on the front end and on the back end, I'm going to go ahead and tap to click to add a picture. And I'll see if I have a picture of the maple leaf. Now I don't, and I'll tell you why. Because I did a little research, and yes, maple is the national flower for Canada, but I think they recently took a poll, and they may have changed it. I found this beautiful flower here, which is also known as the bunches flower. So I'm going to select it. I'll hit open, and just like that, I'm able to bring the image in. But I'm going to go ahead and type in bunches. Maybe Donna, maybe you know about this flower. Not quite sure, Donna. So I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge this to submit. And what has happened, you all? I've made a change within the app itself, but I'm going to take a step back in a moment to show you that it also synchronized with my Excel worksheet, and the change or the additional column should be in my worksheet as well. All right, so I'm good with this. I can refresh my app, and I love this one. I can actually do a search. So I'm going to type in the flower. Let's enter, and it brings up the country with that particular flower. I'm gonna go ahead and delete it. And instead of just deleting, I could delete it, but I'm gonna show you something else. I'll type in bunches. I hope I spelled that right. Instead of deleting it from the search box, I could most certainly hit the refresh button to make sure everything is up to date. But I'm gonna go with deleting it, give it a moment, and there it is, the magic happens. So I'm kind of proud of my app, you all. I went from no code, from no apps to learning how to create a low code app and feeling comfortable about it, by the way. So here's the app in edit mode. Very important, as Donna pointed out, in order to make your app visible on your phone, it needs to be saved, right? So I'm going to take a step back, go over here to, just as we would in other Office products, save it for the very first time, give it a nice little name. You can see I've been playing around with it. I'm going to name it a National Flower Day. Go ahead and hit save. And I'm saving this one in the cloud. I do have the option to save it to the computer, but consistency. So I've saved it. And I also want to point this out while we're in here. You can also track the versions, like when you make updates or changes to your application, you can most certainly track the versions of that one. Let's see if it'll display for us. Boom, 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 boom. It's working hard. There it is. So I've created it for the first time. This is version 1. It shows the date, who modified it. Remember, my persona is predictive for the moment. And it also shows that it has been published and it is marked as live. So as you make changes, you'll see version 2, version 3, and so on. You'll have access to the changes, and more importantly, you're able to restore a version. So if I had 5 versions here and I said, you know what, I've been doing too much, I should have left it alone at version 3. I have the option to use the ellipses and restore it to a previous version. But I'm satisfied. I'm excited. If you can tell, I'm so excited. So I'm going to go back to my initial tab. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going to go back here using the back browser. Take me back to my editing mode, because this is something very important. This took me a minute. I made some changes in my worksheet, and I just simply wanted to refresh the data. I said, I want to refresh the data. That's what I want to do. Well, I'm here to pay this forward. Remember, I love empowering others. Over here on the left-hand side, this is the universal symbol for that database when it comes to working in Power Apps. And there's the database there. Once I select the ellipses, I can refresh it. And so if I make changes in my worksheet, or I want to make sure it's always up to date, I can just simply go here. I get acknowledgement of a refresher. And if you're wondering, or maybe you forget the connectors that your connector choices, you'll see those over here on the left-hand side as well. I'm connected through OneDrive for Business within my Office 365 account. So I'm going to close this one here, because I talked you through this one. Donna mentioned that you can share your app in a couple of ways, and this is Microsoft Teams. Again, Microsoft Teams, I logged in as Pradeep, and I'm a team member of multiple teams. I just want to show you how you are able to bring that app in here as well. Just a quick demo. Adding tabs within a workspace in a team, and here, selecting Power Apps. Each of the apps that I've created are displayed here. Remember, I have a National Flower Day. That's the one that I just created. I'm going to go ahead and select Save. I see it working back there. And this gives access to this particular team. So it's coming, going. And there it is with my changes. I am satisfied, including the changes to Canada's flower, as well as the color scheme that I've updated. And when I select it, everything is functioning just fine. So I'm going to close this. I'm going to close this tab and take you back to the Power Apps screen, because I talked you through this one, but I tell you, that it takes about 5 minutes to create an app. And I'm going to walk through it just one more time. But this time, I'm not going to talk you through it. I want you to see the magic happening. It takes, I'm getting 5 minutes is generous. It actually takes a couple of minutes. And it looks like my network is cooperating with me at the moment. Getting things ready. Acknowledging the OneDrive for Business connector. Giving me the option to select. And this time I'm going for the flooring estimate, which was the tutorial that I pointed out earlier. Going, going, going. There it is, getting things ready. I appreciate all the help because I'm one of those individuals that, again, I'm not a heavy developer like Donna, so I don't mind waiting. I am looking for the bottom line. So it's working back here. You all see it. It's populating over here in my tree view, my browsers. The 3 sections should show up shortly. There they are. I'm gonna go ahead and skip. And this is the, in a lickety split, and literally it was under 2 minutes, I was able to create the Power App based on the data set that was given me for the flooring example. And I'm gonna go ahead and hit play just to show you. That's the one I showed you earlier. Here's a tip as I close out. Notice I keep selecting play up here to test my app. There's a shortcut. You hold down the Alt key, A-L-T, on your keyboard and make a selection. You can preview it right here in edit mode. So that's a nice tidbit. Well, that's all I have for you today. I really appreciate your patience, both with the time zone difference and also hearing about my story as my journey to creating my very first app. I do have some resources, and I think Donna would probably appreciate this as well. And Donna, I'm going to pull these resources up. If you want to, anything you want to add, it's fine with me. These are some of the learning resources. Go ahead, Donna.
That's perfect, LeAndra. Thank you so much for sharing these. And I love that you shared your 3-day journey because trust me, anyone can figure out how to do this. You can. And LeAndra literally is like, got told 2 weeks ago, like, hey, you're going to do this. And she, what? And she did. And she did amazing, right? She did the tutorial, reverse engineered, built her own app, and taught a whole bunch of people how to do it too. So homework for all of you. Learn it, teach others.
All right. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop sharing now and turn it over to our host. Let's see if I can figure out how to stop sharing.
Yeah. Thank you, LeAndra, for the presentation. It is amazing, like to see the story about like you get started 3 days and then how like what is it? Start from like learning and then now you're teaching us. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to our like Q&A presentation. I'm gonna share my screen again. So yeah, in here I'm gonna share my screen again. So yeah, there is additional question here. This one is about how we can export the app to Android.
Okay. How can you export the app to Android? Okay, so as Donna mentioned, this particular app, the apps that we are creating are meant to be used in-house. However, I was able to download the app, and I have an Android device. I typed in Power Apps from the Play Store, and I'll show you. And I was able to install it on my Android device. I don't know if you can see it. There it is.
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, that's awesome. So the idea is we install the Power Apps in App Store, and then our apps basically a sub app of the Power Apps. And then once we logged in,
go ahead.
So once we logged in, we see all our apps we've created.
That is correct. Once you log in, and mine is spinning up here, the apps that I showed you and that I just created are available in the Android version of the app as well, the mobile app as
I
well.
see.
Yeah.
Awesome. I have follow-up questions regardless the
Mhm.
access control. So for example, I have an apps for like budget tracking and I want to have all my finance guy that can only see these apps, but not the other people. So is that possible?
To share it directly with a specific person, Donna, are you aware?
Yeah,
You're
so
able to
Power
yeah.
Apps has a thing called Admin Center. So if you are at the main make.powerapps.com, on the left side or on the right side, there's a thing called Admin Center. And in there, because you've created the app, you're the admin. So you get to decide that I want this available to everybody in my organization, or I only want it available to these whitelisted or these specific listed people. But you decide 100% of who has access to what. I often make apps that only I see because they're not ready to share with others. And there's some apps that are just for specific people in my organization. You can also add people as a guest for your app, and they're able to see it. But you have to do that. Like random people cannot get access to your app from the App Store or Play Store.
And I do see the Admin Center listed here under settings. Thank you, Donna.
Awesome, fantastic. Well, I didn't see any other question, but I'm gonna ask the audience to ask directly if have any question. And you can also speak in Bahasa, and I will try to translate it.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyone wants to ask a question? Feel free. Seems everyone's like trying to like make sense of like Power Apps and thinking. Oh, Cornelius, feel free.
Yes. So is there any trial yeah, like for using AI? Can we have trial for it?
You mean for AI Builder?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's free for 30 days. So
Only for 30 days.
yeah, so I'm actually using a trial right now to show all of you. So if you go to the steps I would do, if you have no Office account, go.
We lost you, Donna.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have nothing to start with, get yourself a Microsoft 365 dev account. It's free and it renews, I think, every 3 months for like ever. And once you just look up, do a search for Microsoft 365 dev account, sign up for that. You can use whatever you want. You can use like an Outlook or a Gmail or, anything. And once you do that, go to make.powerapps.com and sign in with your dev account. And then you can use AI Builder for free for 30 days.
Okay.
It's a cool way to learn.
Yes, I saw you. It's cool, I think.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Any other question, guys? Feel free. Don't be shy. Okay, if not, I have a question. So I noticed that a lot of like the audience here is a student. So do you have any like if you're a student, is there any benefits like something to try for free?
Well, the dev account does give you all the stuff for free, but we're going to have a huge thing for students this year. I have hired somebody onto my team called Homolema Mohapi. And if you are interested in the students program, just get in touch with me, connect with me on LinkedIn and tell me you're a student and I will introduce you to him. He's creating cohorts of students so people can learn all kinds of new things. And it's a good thing to put on your resume. So he'll be teaching workshops on things you can build, things you can put on your resume, good things for internships, et cetera, et cetera. So he's a student himself, and he now works on our team.
Perfect. Yeah, that's good to know. Because there's a lot of people here is a student, actually. Yeah. Yes. Moment. Okay, so if there is any other question, I'm gonna like proceed to the end of our discussion. So I'm gonna go back to the presentation and then I'm gonna do a quick what is it again here, like only a few minutes, and then please go to your smartphone and then open menti.com and then type in the code, because I'm gonna ask you about what do you think about this event. And then everything that you put down in the app will be showing pop up here. So we're gonna wait for about 1 minute and see what people said about this event.
Oh, okay. So it's a live poll.
Yeah, you can do it too if
Awesome.
you want.
Awesome. Talk about that wonderful LeAndra person. Let's oh, cool.
Perfect. We getting some feedback here. Okay, we're gonna wait for about like few seconds more and see what people said. If you're watching this event with your what is it? Yeah. So yeah, I think we can. Yeah. So that's it. I think I'll use Power App, and this is a big one. That's awesome. Powerful Power Apps challenge. Good. I want more tech. Good. Yeah. Perfect. Cool. So I'm gonna go to the next slide after this, and then the next slide is what topic you want to cover next. So feel free to type in if you want more Power Apps, probably. Oh, people silent, quite silent here. Well, actually the audience combination of like citizen dev and actual dev, so you will see a lot of things here.
So cool. Flutter, yeah, awesome.
Okay, so few things showing up here. Well, it's only few people here. So I'm gonna put more time, like few more seconds, to see if there is any other like suggestion. Okay, Dona, Dona and Leandra, I want to ask you about like what is your comment about like our event, and probably like some inspirational quote for our audience.
Yes, my inspirational quote would be take the challenge. Challenge yourself to learn something new, and be inspired not to be a know-it-all. It's not about knowing it, being a know-it-all, but it's all about learning it all. So take the challenge.
Perfect. And I'm gonna share the link to the challenge, and then I'll encourage all the audience here to take the challenge. Perfect. So how about you, Dona?
For me, it would be sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. So you might pick this up and say, wow, this is easy. Or you might say, wow, that I didn't get that right on a first try, or my app didn't build, or my you saw my chatbot failed to build in the middle of this demo, right? I almost always like when I have a demo fail. So you see that this is real. And I, who do this for a living, sometimes have demo fails too. So don't worry about it if you don't get it right on a first try. You saw LeAndra's journey. She's like, where did this column come from? I don't know, but you can figure it out, right? So sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Go out and do the thing, because if you don't do the thing, you're still going to be exactly where you are today.
Perfect. That's fantastic. And I really like the quote, like sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. Awesome. And thank you everyone for the participation.
Thank you.
We really like appreciate it. You spend time with us today, as also the speakers. Yeah, you good job, guys. There's a lot of
Thanks.
love.
Thank you.
Much. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone. This concludes our discussion today.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right.
Dona,
I'm going out there.
Bye-bye.
All right. It was my pleasure.
Please do connect.
Yeah.
Bye.
Thanks, Dona.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Dona. Thanks, LeAndra. Thanks, everyone. Cool.